welcome to another exciting edition of the Camnet TV Breakfast Show of today being the 13th of November 2023. I hope you're having a lovely and beautiful as well as positive Monday morning. I'm your host Miriam Kaimba, and of course in studio I'm not alone. I'm joined by my colleague Patrick Soko, where we're going to be taking you for an hour or so and just telling you about those interesting things that are happening in our country. Good morning, Soko.
Good morning.
A positive Monday.
Indeed. Welcome back. How has it been?
It has been good, though on Wednesday I was alone, Soko. You abandoned me.
Yeah, I know that.
You know that.
Yes.
So I should be the one telling you welcome back.
Exactly.
So welcome back.
Yeah, you know. Thank you, by the way. Yeah, but we are trying so hard to make sure that it is a positive Monday as usual. We keep it positive to make sure that we do everything that we desire within our means, and also knowing that with God everything is possible. So we also have to keep positive, but we can't forget praying, Miriam.
Exactly. No, praying is very, very important for us to keep our positivity intact and in check. We need to ensure that we add a prayer all the time, and just given the fact that we are a Christian nation, so most of our values are based on Christianity. So this is something that we shouldn't take for granted at the end of the day. And we're just moving forward. A reminder to our viewers that exactly at 7:30 hours we'll be officially opening our phone lines, where we are expecting to get your views, or rather comments, on the role that the church should play in society. And we'll be later joined by a guest in studio just to help us discuss our topic this morning. But right about now, let's get direct into our health corner and just see what the doctors have for us this morning.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. My name is Dr. Nakuyana Mufaya. So this week we are going to talk about a very common diarrheal disease. It's a condition that is very common amongst us. It's more of an endemic amongst in our communities. So we'll talk about typhoid fever. So I'm sure most of you have heard about typhoid fever. You probably have gone to the hospital and you've been told that you have typhoid. So this week we want to understand exactly what is typhoid, and also how it comes about, and some of the signs and symptoms of a patient that has typhoid. And we also want to know how is it diagnosed in the hospital, and how can you prevent yourself from getting this condition of typhoid. So today we'll discuss what is typhoid. Typhoid is a diarrheal disease, as we have mentioned. It's caused by a bacteria, and this bacteria is called Salmonella. Now Salmonella, there are two types, most of them that cause typhoid, two major types. There's the Salmonella typhi and the Salmonella paratyphi. So these two bacteria are the ones that cause typhoid. And usually it's gotten from the fecal-oral route. By that I mean somebody has to ingest it from their food. So it's shed through the feces, and if someone has not washed their hands and they have touched food and then they ingest that food that is contaminated, then they would get the bacteria, which will attack the immune cells in the intestines. So it attacks the lining of the intestines, and in the lining of the intestines we find some immune cells. So those cells will be attacked, and eventually they will start, the bacteria will make the immune cells to start producing more of the bacteria itself. So as the bacteria multiplies, that is how come you start getting these symptoms of being sick. So usually it takes about 7 to 14 days before you can start having any symptoms. We call that period the incubation period. So it's a period where the body is still producing more of the bacteria and it's still infecting your body until at a time when it starts manifesting in different ways and you start having symptoms of typhoid. So this typhoid can, as we have said, it can cause damage to the intestines. And sometimes the damage can be so severe such that it can cause perforation. So by perforation, we are talking about causing a leakage in the intestine. So your intestines can have end up having a hole or a perforation, and some fluids from the intestines can start leaking into the abdomen, the overall abdomen. So that's one of the complications of this typhoid. So it's important that we know exactly how it comes about, and we know how we can prevent it, and also know the symptoms, so that once you see yourself having these symptoms or know somebody who is having these symptoms, then you quickly rush them to the hospital where they can get treatment. So make sure you watch the other episodes this week where we'll talk more about typhoid. I hope you have learned something today. If you want to learn more about other topics, make sure you watch my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Nakubia on YouTube and also on Facebook. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Facebook at Dr. Nakubia. I'll see you next time. Stay blessed and stay healthy.
There you have it. I hope you learned one or two things there. Quite interesting topic there from the doctors. Is very, very important. And just a reminder to our viewers that in case you have a topic that you want the doctors to look at, you can still send us a message so that when the doctor comes, you know, they can talk about that pertinent healthy issues that you would want them to look at. But right about now, let's get direct into our money market. We have the United States dollar. They are buying at 22.58 ngwe and selling at 23.02 ngwe. We have the euro. They are buying at 24.09 ngwe and selling at 24.56 ngwe. We have the Great British Pound. They are buying at 27.60 ngwe and selling at 28.15 ngwe. We have the South African Rand. They are buying at 1.21 ngwe and selling at 1.23 ngwe. That is our foreign exchange for today, the 13th of November 2023, as of at 07:12. We have seen that on the selling part, the dollar is already trading at 23.02 ngwe. Patrick Soko, no hope.
I love the way you say no hope.
I was hoping you'd say, maybe where's the positivity, but and I'm sure you love the way I said no hope. But anyway, the positivity is still there. The positivity.
Where are you drawing your confidence from?
No, we have been taught that there are certain mechanisms that are being put in place to ensure that, you know, this is addressed, and I believe that everything is being done, you know, to ensure that we see all those fundamental things being put in place at the end of the day. And we're just moving forward. Let's get now direct into zooming in some of the stories that made headlines during the weekend. Quite interesting, Soko, when you hear about floods and disaster. When you're currently in Lusaka, it will be a shocking thing for you. But people in Lundazi are currently facing that. So over the weekend, we did see over 35 families in Lundazi district have been left homeless after their house were brought down following a heavy storm that hit the district. Now let's get to play that story.
This is a trail of destruction left after a heavy storm swept through some villages in Chief Mpamba's area in Lundazi district. Over 35 families have been thrown in the cold after their homes were brought down. The stranded victims are now calling for aid from government.
When pula ikaba ya ngozi na mikayambira abana lauseo na ine na inaou kiza cha mpepo sikamanya chakutene chiuta ngatipulumusa kwene chiuta ngwa ngunguni pakuti beka boma ili naonga chomene aichechi pa hivyo isi vatipangira pamoja na disi ya mama
kupemba kuti ili ruso adisi na boma ili nawo vanyitu tukolelezana nawo pamoja tipitirizwe mwakuti tiovwire mzinda witu wa Zambia yose kovwira isepera chakwene valikoso vanyake aonaomba kuzingiziwa ngandisi.
And government has quickly responded to the cries of the victims and provided mealie meal and tents for the victims. Soldiers were spotted on the scene erecting tents for some of the stranded victims. Lundazi District Commissioner Marjorie Banda, who visited the scene Saturday, says the district sourced for aid for the victims as soon as the matter was reported to her office.
On Monday we had disasters in my district. It occurred in the night when the rain started, blew off 35 houses. So being the chairperson, when the report was reported to say the houses have gone, we waited for our disaster management mitigation from the province to give us something, where we are given 25 tents, also some mealie meals to come and give to the house that were vulnerable. So we've managed to plant down the houses for all 25 houses at the moment, remaining with the 10.
The quick response from government through the office of the district commissioner has elated the villagers and the ward councillor.
I just want to thank the government for the quick response which they have shown up. Otherwise, just recently we had a disaster where a lot of houses were blown off by the heavy. We just reported the matter to the district commissioner and the member of parliament, where they promised to intervene as quickly as possible.
Taonga ise boma la hakainde hichirema kutovwira pangani nkhani ya nyumba mwili weukira nyumba ili kumaranadi ndipo tili vantu vakusuzgika so boma latiganizira ise pano kuti ikirapo tent pano pa nyumba kweniso na ufu because vose vintu vikamimba vose vikava kuzumba fertilizer ufu so takara usuzgika so mwatitawati boma mulazira pano taonga chomene ise.
As the rain season draws near, it is prudent for those living in flood-prone areas to take necessary precautions to avoid being victims. Reporting for Camnet News, my name is Makoko Akozi.
Welcome back. There you have it. That's a story. They are bordering on the floods in Lundazi. Also the issue of the rainstorm. It was quite hectic, and we saw many families being affected as their houses had their roofs blown off and they were stranded. And thanks to quick intervention by the government through the office of the district commissioner, and they did manage to intervene into to address their plight. And in case you are also experiencing similar issues in your various localities, you are free to share with us here on Camnet TV so that we can understand. For Lusaka, it has been dry, and we are yet to see rainfall activities. And we are worried, and we are wondering, we say, ish, are we going to go into a desert after experiencing a lot of floods? Or is it because the people of Kamwala South are praying so hard that it does not rain so that they're not affected?
But you know, I've seen some works being done on the drainage system in Kamwala.
But that's still premature if you look at them.
Yes.
I think
and
I was hoping to have made a lot of progress.
Yes. And this is what we were talking about, that these works should have started a bit earlier, like 6 months before. But now we only have like a month, you know, for us to go to the rain season. So we are, you know, being, you know, our fingers are crossed, because we are hoping that we don't experience the same situation where we saw a lot of people in Kamola South, especially being stranded because of these floods. But looking at the works that have been done, basically, Soko, I'm not happy with the works because 90% of the work has not been done.
Exactly.
I could just say it's at 40%, because this is when the works are being, you know, things are now being worked on. Yeah.
Indeed, this is when things are being worked on. So we can only hope that they'll manage to wind up before the rains intensify, so that people can be safeguarded, because that has been problematic for some time.
Yeah, exactly. And anyway, moving forward, Patrick, we did quite an interesting story on Saturday, where we saw a 65-year-old woman of Lusaka who is demanding a 3,000 kwacha she paid to a real estate company for a plot she purchased in 2022. In an interview, Maureen Kayombwe says the real estate company, identified as Starside Properties located in Lusaka's Matero Township, allegedly swindled her on pretext that they had a 20-by-10 plot to sell, when in fact not. She laments that in 2022 the said company promised to refund her, but nothing has been done yet.
Let's have a look at that story.
After raising a little resources in order to buy land and build her own dream house, 65-year-old Maureen Kamboye has gone back to the drawing board, as the dream seemed to have been cut short. Early 2022, the 65-year-old, among hundreds of individuals, rushed to secure land at Starside Properties, which the company advertised to be located in 10 miles. Like many, she secured a 20-by-10 portion of land and made a deposit of 3,000 kwacha. According to her, little did she know that the land in question belonged to someone else and not the real estate company that sought them. She says the real estate company, which is located in Lusaka's Matero Township, allegedly swindled her on pretext that they had a plot to sell, when in fact not.
So kuchoka che pamene hapo manje paja, so kuchoka pamene hapo babwera wachita bwanji kasi pamene paja ndiye ulendo anapo bakuka. So baja bantu bamene tunakuwa nabo ambiri baja batatu banakonzekera banaenda kuti bayambe kumanga, banamba kugula mabloko machandi ni mamoto okuyenda pamene kuti. So baja bene bake bakuja banapo nanga kuchita chani hapa aya kai malo tunakula mnakula kule ndani anakuza ati makula malo pamene abukuza ndi ndani. Ndiye kwa pidi kisha wamene kuja bantu wanachita bwanji wanabwera baenda kuchoka kunya maji wakalipa tunakula ifana tuwe matujwa kivia futi lero futi watikania futi lero kulipa kumalo kumfuti manje tuzaenda kuti ndiye kuenda kuja kwa office kwenda kupenda kwa office wanachoka.
She lamented that in 2022 the said company promised to refund her, but nothing has been done. She's now demanding for the said 3,000 kwacha.
So kuenda kuja mwana ndiye wasaga anapo yapeza chai ma uniform yao ndiye pamene anapo averenga paja ndiye kutaba njati ndiye pamene ndiye abatama ndiye pamene paja ndiye kumuza ati enda stabe so enda so uzaona paja so ndiye pamene ndiye pamene paja mwana akonka pamene waenda kuja londo paka afika bela kupeza kulibe ndaikandi mkadi mulibe kuti ni mofesi pamene muoneka kuti kulibe kwa wani kulipiretu kapando kamozi pamene kali pamene ndiye mofesi pamene mulati. So na bwe yankani yanda manager ayi tuzakupa chabe so mukabwiri temo pa 9 June hiyo yapita June July August September kwengo mwana sensera alema chasala manje ndiye pamene pamanje mu September menda bwe anabwera imwe bantu nitandize ndiko ni babikiti mukapera mungajize mu chitira ini so alimo chitira kuliba menda chita abantu ndama banaji ya kudala manje ana masiku na mafoni yonse banajiwa.
Meanwhile, Starside Properties Company admits of the woman having purchased the land from them and states that she is among those listed to be refunded.
to talk to me? Why can't she call and find out where we are situated? Because no, that's just bringing someone's business down like that. The issue is very straightforward. She can just ask where our new officers are. I'm sure she's on the list, so she can go there and she will be refunded. There's a certain date I'm sure that she was put on. So let her go to the office, let her visit the offices on Monday to correct the new date so that she can get a refund.
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News. A very quite sad development there. We hope that at the end of the day, the woman will be refunded her money, because she has been waiting for that refund since 2022 when she purchased the said land, and she was told that, you know, those owners of the real estate company did not own the same land that they sold to hundreds of people, among them herself. So when the guys were trying now to start putting up their buildings, only to be told that they do not know that real estate company and they are not the owners of this land. So now the real estate company, they agreed to start refunding those people their monies up. However, her complaint has been since 2022, she has been told that she will be refunded, and we're only talking about 3,000 kwacha.
Those are the disparities. Do you know what was going through my mind when we were explaining? I remember it should be you or Nelson Zulu. One of you did a story where Ronald Chitotira purchased land from a Chinese national at 1 million kwacha. Then this woman, the only money she can afford to buy a plot is 3,000 kwacha, and it goes in vain. You can imagine the disparities. So there are people who can manage to buy land at any cost, Miriam, but there are also people who cannot afford. See, if you trace how that 3,000 kwacha came by, you'll be also shocked to know that how she managed to raise that money, and she wanted to put a shelter on her roof, on her head, just to have something to, you know. But you know what happened? She has nothing. So when you look at issues bordering on land, we have to make sure that Zambians are not being exploited, because we see these tendencies, especially among some real estate companies, trying to sell land to 3 or 4 more people at once because they don't have land here. They come and find you have not put anything on your land. They sell it to somebody else. Then you come, they'll tell you to say, we are giving you somewhere else. That is a trend that we need to safeguard our citizens from, because others have ended up losing completely because of such tendencies. You can understand how...
Patrick, not even going very far. My mother has been a victim of that. I remember sometime, I think I should have been in grade 8 or 7. She did purchase land in Garden where, you know, she was told, no, we gave someone here, we'll give you the place. They gave her also, they also gave her someone, they gave someone else, again they gave someone else, until, you know, she just said, you know what,
let me forget about it.
Yeah, let it be. So she lost everything. She lost the land, she lost money, and mind you, the first plot where they grabbed the same plot from her, she had started building, and the house was on window level. So you get to see how, you know, people are suffering from this thing. This is something that we should be talking about, and I think the Ministry of Land should come on board and ensure that, you know, ordinary citizens do not have this, do not experience this, because we're talking about, you know, people owing land in Zambia. But if people are going to say, no, everyone should own land in Zambia with such condition, how are they going to manage to do so? These are the questions that, you know, we need to address.
Indeed, those are the questions that we need to address, Miriam. And going forward, we have to usher in our guests also, Miriam. But before that, we have to look at a story that we had over the weekend, where Goodwill Ambassador for Persons with Cross-Cutting Disabilities, Elijah Ngwale, has attributed the return of former President Edgar Lungu to active politics to the ill belief that no Tonga president can rule Zambia. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Ngwale says former President Lungu needs to come to terms with reality and accept the fact that President Chilema, who he thought would never be president, is now the leader of this country. Meanwhile, Chikondi Foundation President Bishop John Mambo has labeled the return of former President Edgar Lungu to active politics as a wrong move.
We can also play that story back to back with a story where we saw some minibus drivers in Lusaka who accused the local council and road transport and safety agency RATSA of failing to regulate and ensure smooth and safe operation of the taxi cab sector in Zambia.
Former President Edgar Lungu's return to active politics has continued to receive mixed reactions. Mr. Lungu announced his comeback on October 28, 2023, putting to rest intensified speculation on his possible comeback. Commenting on the former head of state return to politics, outspoken Chikondi Foundation President Johnny Mambo has labeled the comeback of the former head of state as a wrong move.
President Lungu, if I was the one advising me, former president, I would have said don't come back in politics. They are cheating him. I am not a prophet. It's very difficult for you to leave power and come back.
Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Bishop Mambo said history has shown that such decisions breed division in the country.
What put Kaunda into problems? We are still upset as Zambian. He was taken to Mkoweko during Christmas. Mandela became upset. Julius Nyerere flew here and went to visit him. It's something that Zambians felt very bad over President Chilombo. Now, I know people are beating drums, no, he must come back and so forth. They are cheating. Someone among them want to use him to get into power. He will lose the election, and then they'll come and say, it is me next, and so forth.
Meanwhile, Persons with Disabilities Goodwill Ambassador Elijah Ngwale has attributed the return of the former head of state to politics to selfish beliefs by some individuals in the former ruling party, the Patriotic Front.
Oh, achite uyu anga kalepo mtonga uchite uyu sanga kalepo. Yes, up to this time chativa to find him. So there is no need. There is no need, because even what I'm saying is that the records which are there, why should he come back? It means that the whole PF, the only person who matters is Malungu. No.
Mr. Lungu is currently embroiled in PF wrangles as he has found himself leading a faction that was led by acting party president Given Lubinda. For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
Wars between minibus drivers and pirate taxi drivers in Lusaka have continued after pirated taxi drivers counter-reacted to fellow colleagues, resulting in continued outcries of infringement of operations.
How come?
Minibus drivers have protested against their fellow drivers who are involved in the transport business without legal registration of their vehicles, accusing them of disturbing their business as they are not registered transport operators.
Stima balance ave pesa kwa balance anga ndama Zambia latenga muntu mozi 50 kwacha se mulodi dobo muntu 20 kwacha nda kafiwe iva mwenye 50 kwacha watu 20 basi rais wa mabasi kuvuiti na mamotoka yatu maleti namba ma PSB tinayo
siyalunga so far mumeta valira lero apa mweta valira lero pa manowa paja basi yalonga ikanga namba 17 but ngati pali manowa semi namba 2 manje ukashinga wa mabasi sidzaka kashinga bwanji tipemba kwa asogoleli watu ndimo asogoleli watu kulibe kwinango kwene tingalilile wenango amakambati wena zashitachani zampisha pa station.
The demonstrating minibus drivers have claimed in their protest that most of the escalating pirates taxis are operating illegally and alleged that in most cases are not even paying tax as they do. The drivers operating at Lusaka downtown Kamala station believe that pirate taxis are illegal because they are private vehicles which apparently are not registered as public vehicles as they still have black number plates.
let number plate simaoneka so tikasiza kukamba mulanga kwa road taxi na number plate yakaye na muyakope so atifema number plate mkakopa muone number plate ima choka late na yo penda then complete na yoku maningi tu isa mabasi tisi ya kanso tisi ya line tisi ya na deki
tina malaiti yoka basi chema foreigner tunabogera na container no chema zambian nina malaiti na yoka mangachiniba mimi amwetonga na amenda nyamwambira jitonga amba ada never jiranisa quite all right cashing enje mali nje kaja 500 manje muri one trip ndikuye cashing ndipe boss ndikuye petrol ndipe conductor baga into bango ndravai mugandi ngani muyaliye umpa bana for nothing
and some of the commuters also added a word on the issue.
Enforcers are supposed to take this matter seriously because the private people, people are using the private, they make an accident and they neglect, they will run away. Where can you trace it? And they are pilots.
In response to all the allegations said against them, some Pirates taxi drivers who sought anonymity said there was room for both parties to come up with a mechanism that will benefit them.
So that's when you know, take a number plate, but not very long come it's illegal. Illegal, it's not confirmed by the LASA. No, it's confirmed by the LASA. If you want, madam, you confirm good balance and ask them. Do you know the issues of identity downtown? They will tell you the issue of identity. And we report by identity. So in terms of the illegal, what they are saying that no, it is illegal, it is wrong. We just need to cooperate in our job to know what is the way forward. Because all of us, we are drivers.
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News. Quite interesting stories there. We now transition into our interview this morning, where we are looking at the role of the church in reducing political tension. And in studio, we are joined by Reverend MAA Zulu, who is the Apostle Council of Church Program Director. Good morning, Reverend, and welcome to the program.
Thank you. Morning, viewers. Morning, Brother Soko.
Good morning, sir.
I love the Brother Soko. It's making us feel as if we were at church. To begin our discussion this morning, we have seen that there have been a lot of happenings in the country, and we did see, the bishop issuing a statement on Friday last week. As a church, what have you done so far in ensuring that you reduce the current political tension that is happening?
Yeah, there are a lot of things happening on the background. It's a pity that such things are happening in the country. And one of them, if you see the Bishop's Council coming out to speak, it means they have seen. It's not only that, but I think the country can tell to say we have seen the church mother bodies, including the Catholic bishops, going to meet with the president, then also with the government. All this is to see to it that the country is back to where it's supposed to be. So this is what the church is doing.
First of all, how important is the need for politicians to exhibit tolerance, especially amidst a lot of high provocation? We are seeing those in the opposition have their perspective on how they view matters. Those in the government also have their view, and everyone else feels they're doing the right thing. But overall, these tend to affect the supporters and the ordinary citizens. If you, for example, the leaders themselves seem to be like in a tension mode. So what do you think players need to do to ensure that they escalate the tension?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to look at the government itself. It's very, very difficult to understand how things are being done when you are far from the government. For example, if you remember when the UPND was in the opposition, used to criticize the PF, and then when they now in government, the PF is criticizing also the UPND, meaning that between the two political parties that have tested the government, they should tell the nation the truth, because the PF knows how difficult it is to run the country, and also the UPND government knows how it is to be in opposition. So one, the PF government should should observe on how to criticize, because they have been there. Then also now the government, also the UPND, should see to it that they don't do the things which the PF government did. So when it comes now to criticism, the opposition and the government should remove hatred, and then also this issue of hate speech that is being done in our country. This is what is bringing now provocation, where tolerance is done away. Yes.
There have been certain concerns from various stakeholders within the society that when the church speaks out on national issues, they do to go in line with a certain political party, to side with a certain political party when they are making these checks and balance to the current administration.
Okay, what I can tell you, and also the nation, is that when you have done something wrong, and then someone comes to tell you to say what you are doing is wrong or what you have done is wrong, you who is being criticized, you say the person who is telling you is wrong. And those also who are observing, sometimes they might feel also that you are on their side. That's the problem that we have. So if I have done something wrong, when Patrick tells me to say, no, I think, Rev, what you have done is wrong, you, Miriam, will feel like I'm part of her. I'm supporting her. But meanwhile, I'm trying to correct things. He's trying to correct things to say, what you have done here is wrong. But other people, those who support Patrick, will say, no, actually, he's right. Those who support Miriam will say, in fact, those who support Patrick will say, no, he is wrong. In fact, what is happening now is not known. Meanwhile, on the other side, those that have seemed to be sided will think I'm part of them. But at the end of the matter is that what is wrong, what is right is right. So when it comes to churches to sideline with certain political parties, that I don't agree. But the church is there to point out what is wrong and what is right. Look at the letter of the pastoral letter of the Bishop's Council, which other people are blaming, other people actually are appreciating. It is well balanced. They condemned where they were supposed to condemn. They highlighted things which were supposed to be done. Then also they recommended where the government has done well. This is the position of the church. Yes.
Indeed. And we are seeing that there's been a lot of tension, let's say, for example, especially between the two rival political parties, being the PF and the UPND. But how are you as a church trying to, for example, foster dialogue? Is it okay that, for example, former President Edgar Lungu and President Hakainde Hichilema should be seeing each other as political enemies or opponents? Don't you think, as a Christian nation, we need to make sure that we raise above the partisan interest, and also, in as much as you criticize, but they should be able to love one another or tolerate one another?
I want to tell you that Dr. Edgar Lungu is the father of the nation. Whether we agree or we don't agree, but this man is a statesman. He ruled Zambia for 7 years. That we cannot take away from him. So meaning that whether we like it or not, he is the former president of Zambia and the only former president of Zambia. Therefore, he deserves respect, regardless of whatever is happening to him. Then now to come with our president and the former president, I want to tell you that it's very, very important for these two to work together and also to be in unity. Even if we have political differences, but it's very, very important where the two can come together and agree or work together. In fact, not even working together, but just to be in peace. That will steer peace now to the nation. I want to tell you that the church started a dialogue issue before the former president announced that he's coming back into active politics. We had started our work on the background. Then when he came now to announce to say, I'm coming back into active politics, the church now is trying to see to it. How do we work in order to see to it that there is peace between the president and the former president? He can, yes, it's his right, and also as a church we cannot say no, don't run for, don't come back to active politics, or go and sit or do what. We don't know what transpired for him to come back into active politics. That's none of our business. But our work now as a church is to work to see to it that the two presidents that we have, we are very, very proud of them. We love President Hakainde Hichilema. We love President Lungu, the former president. Therefore, it's very important for us as a church to work together to see to it that the two are in good terms.
Yes, another follow-up would be the issue of, we tend to see that Zambians are generally united. But we see politicians also bringing issues that border on tribe, and they tend to try to create a certain perception of division. But how can we ensure that our politicians stay away from that and make sure that Zambians remain as they united, because Zambians do not look at one tribe?
The tribalism issue, I think, has brought a lot of trouble and problems in the land. But when you see, you find that our marriages actually, we intermarry. You find that maybe the person is from Eastern Province, the wife is from Lozi, is from these other areas. But what we are seeing in the political sector, where certain tribalism remarks are being issued, it's dividing the nation, and it's not good. Let's look at our churches. In each and every church, you find that all tribes are there. But now look at the political parties. You find that only maybe in the political party, certain areas are covered by a certain tribe, which is not good. So the politicians should do copy from the church to say, if the church can accommodate everyone, then a political party also can accommodate everyone. Then Zambia is for us all. Therefore, it's very, very important for the politicians to desist from tribalism, then also issuing tribal remarks. Let's not do politics based on tribalism, to say no because it's Tonga, no because it's Bemba, no because it's Lozi, this and this cannot happen. That's not good. It will just end up dividing us.
Another thing that we saw in the statement by the bishop, one of the things that they talked about is the high cost of living. As the church currently, though we did see that you did commend government of what they are doing with the ZNS to ensure that there's government minimum on the market, but do you think this issue, when we talk about the high cost of living, is being addressed adequately in the right trajectory, as we can put it?
As a nation, I think it's very, very important to shun from criticism. Yes, criticism is good, but sometimes we have to observe and see what is it that is happening. Right now, what is happening in the world, it's not good, because it's not only Zambia, but it's global. The economy of the nations is bad, not only Zambia. Therefore, we agree as a church that the economy of Zambia is not good, it's bad. And it's, it's very difficult for a common man to afford 3 meals per day. Therefore, the government should work hard in order to see to it that this is scattered. This is where now you are seeing government coming in with initiative of ZNS to see to it that maybe let's try this way, maybe things can change. So the government of the day is trying by all means to change the economy of Zambia. Therefore, we need to recommend them for where they are doing good. Therefore, we as politicians, I mean those politicians, they are taking advantage of the high cost of living and now begin to politicize. But there are certain things that we can say as a political leader to say, no, here things are wrong or are bad, the economy is bad. But now, what do we do in order to improve the economy? Give the ideas to the government, then the government will be able to implement such ideas. Then you find that the economy changes in the land. So it's not just about criticizing, but it's about offering checks and balances, and also helping the government, because you are helping yourselves because you are in the land. When the economy is bad, it's not bad only in the house of Haka and His Excellency, but it's bad even in the house of the political opponents. So it's bad for everyone.
Are you implying that the current opposition leaders that we have not, adequately offered the necessary checks and balance to the current administration, and the only thing they have done is criticize on baseless points?
Not on baseless points, but what I'm trying to say is that it's not every now and then to criticize, but sometimes in criticism we offer checks and balances. Like, you have seen that there is a problem here. You know that there is something that is missing on the table. Miriam, you didn't bring tea. It's a breakfast show.
No, bring it.
Yeah, so instead of saying, no, I came for breakfast show, you didn't offer me breakfast show. Why can't I offer solutions? Say, no, in order, where is the problem? You'll be able to tell, say, okay, the problem is here, the problem is here. Then from there, I'll be able to tell, no, here you can do this and do this and do this. Why can't the politicians come together on the round table? And not unlike coming on the media to say, okay, the economy is like this, or what is like this, what is like this. But just to visit, let's go to UPND Secretariat, in fact, not UPND Secretariat. Let's go to the, to have a meeting with the president. Let's have the meeting with the ministers, and tell them to say, Wane, we were in government, like let's say for the PF, we were in government. These things how you are handling here, it's bad. Here we suggest that do this, do this, do this, things will change.
You are coming from the church, Reverend, and you see, if more people or many members of your congregation are complaining of not having 3 meals per day and everything, ultimately, how does it affect the church? Because you also have a role to safeguard these people and make sure that you provide support to these people. Now, if more people are coming to the church with problems and everything, how is the church equally affected?
The church is very, very affected, actually. Especially, we are talking about the common man who can, we are talking about a widow. Whose husband is dead. He's got the children to take to school, and then he's got the children to feed, but they are unable to have 3 meals per day. It's not good. It's really affecting the church and the nation at large. This is why you see us now speaking through the Catholic bishops to say, no, we need to work hard. The government should work hard in order to improve the economy, because the economy is not good. There are some areas which the government should improve. There are some certain things which they are supposed to do, and I believe and trust that they are seeing into it. Therefore, now my take is on the us outsiders. It's very important that also we offer solutions. What is happening in the country economically, it's not good at all. We need to work on the economy.
There's also a perception, Reverend, to say, I can give you advice, but you may choose to ignore it. But how important is the people being advised? How receptive are they to ensure that they also take this advice? Because, for example, in this country, we have seen that others have been saying, why are you giving tax breaks to the mining companies? But you say, no, it's my strategy. So how do people continue to advise you when you are brushing off every suggestion they are giving?
That's where the problem is. You know, the other thing is, when you advise people, then people begin to review where the advice is coming from. Let's talk about, I'll give you an example, like you and I, we are opponents. Then if I agree to your idea, it will look as if I'm supporting you. Then from there, I won't take your idea, though it's right. Then that's very, very wrong. This is what is affecting our nation. We saw that the economy was bad during the previous government. Things were not okay. And then people complained. And after that, we saw change of the government. The government that we have now truly gave the promises to say, this is what we are going to do, this is what we are going to do. Now, it's like what I said to say, when you are far, you can say anything. But when you get inside, you find that certain things are difficult. So now they have come in, they have seen that things are not okay. Running the country is not easy because we are talking about about 20 million people. So now, from there, us as a church now, what we are saying is, if the government cannot take the advice from politicians, let them take the advice from the church, because the church also is offering advice. So this is where we are. Therefore, if the government does not take the advice of the people, the advice of those who are being governed, then we have a problem.
There is a saying that longes will not do this amuntu yohane, meaning a promise. You understand that better than me, Reverend. So yes. Now you as the church, I think, when politicians err, biblically wise, what do you advise them to do going forward?
Is to fulfill their promises. They have promised the nation, and the nation says, okay, I think this is good. I think now we see the light at the end of the tunnel. Let's vote for them. Then they come into government. Then the promises are not done. Then us as a church now, we come in to say, this is what you said, you must do it. This is what you said, you must do it. And that's what we are doing. Now, when you saw the Bishop's Council, I mean the letter, the pastoral letter, coming in, I've not seen the government officials criticizing it, but I've seen the cadres, the people outside. They are the ones that are crying and criticizing. You saw the comment by the Minister of Information from the government. He spoke very, very well, recommending the pastoral letter to say it's a very good advice, which they have taken note of. I saw the youth chairman for UPND, Aliswaniso. He gave a very good speech to say we recommend the criticism and also the advice given by the pastor, the Bishop's Council. But now look at what the cadres and other people are doing. They are criticizing everything which the council has spoken. But the church has voiced out to say, you people, this is what you promised us. Can you check what you are doing and what you promised? Because this thing will continue. The church is there. The church does not come and go. We are there to stay. The UPND will come and go. PF came and went. UPND came and is going. And another party will come and go. But the church will be there. So we are from 1964 up to date. We are still there watching, and we are able to tell what the government is doing right and where the government.
Often do you think the church should offer their voice with regard to national issues? Because we saw at some point when the church tried to speak out on the high cost of living, one of the bishops was referred to as Lucifer. How often do you think the church should offer their voice to the current administration in terms of checks and balances? Because we have seen that most of the times the church would shun away because of such name callings.
It's a pity that in Zambia, or in our nation, which is called a Christian nation, we have taken things in a different way. Because in leadership, you are not supposed only to accommodate the people that say yes to you, or people that support you. If you only have people that say yes and praise you, then you have a problem. You need people, those who speak negatively about you and positively about you. Then you go into the right direction. But if everybody says yes, 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 even if you do wrong, they'll say yes, 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 yes. You go in the wrong way, you say yes, yes, yes. So now, if someone tells me to say what you are doing is wrong, then I say you are a Lucifer. That means I failed in leadership. So it's a call to our leaders that let's accommodate those who criticize us, both from the church, the papas. We have a lot of papas. The papas, then also the politicians. whether it's a political party, accommodate people that criticize you, accommodate people that praise you, then you'll be able to become a good leader. Because those who criticize you, you'll be able to check, is this criticism genuine or it's not genuine? Then others will be able to advise you to say, no, here what you are doing is wrong. Can you change? Then
but Reverend, I would like to take you back. When you talk about accept criticism, even from the papas and everyone, previously then we saw Christian for who, Christian for what. And then when these people come, stand up on the pulpit, in front of the pulpit, and start offering these checks and balance, quite all right, someone would be able to tell that, okay, this is not a genuine criticism, but this is more like an attack.
This is where now the government of the day has done away with the church. I am the secretary for the National Day of Prayer, by the way. Then the government, what has done is, we don't want to interfere with the church because we don't want the pastors for who and pastors for that. Because automatically, if I'm pastor for Wasoko, automatically I'll do things to please him. But now, by then, I want to tell you that it's not every papa who was the papa for who and papa for this one. There were some people like us who are just neutral. There were some people like the Bishop's Council, which is neutral. There were people, even the church mother bodies, which are neutral. But when it comes to papa for this, papa for that, then you have destroyed the nation because you have praise singers and surrounded by praise singers. So whatever you say, the praise singers will say, this is what God is speaking, but it's the mind of man. Yes.
Quite interesting. Anyway, there's a short clip that we did see the bishops, having a press briefing on Friday. Let's just get to look at that clip as we come back and wind up our program this morning.
To generate increased public revenue for alleviating poverty and investing in social programs, we urge the government to review mining concessions and the tax holidays given to multinational corporations. Mining is the mainstay of Zambia's economy, and it is unacceptable that the industry continues to contribute far less to the national treasury than it should. Due to increasing use of technology, mining employs significantly lower numbers of people today than it did in earlier decades. As a result, the most assured way of driving maximum benefits from this vital industry is through effective tax and shareholding policies such as those implemented in Botswana, Chile, and other countries rich in mineral resources. We urge the government to increase its stake in mining companies in relation to shareholding and actively promote local ownership.
That was a press briefing that the bishops had last week, Friday, where they were urging government on a lot of things, among them the mining, the high cost of living, as well as, just them airing their voice on the shrinking democratic space in the country. Maybe, Reverend, your concluding remarks and also you adding your voice on that as we get to wind up our program this morning.
Thank you. I think what I can say is that let's work together as a nation. There is power in unity. We are calling upon all the politicians to work together with the government. Let's give advice to the government, and also we recommend the government for what they are doing. Since the government of the day came in, I think a lot of things have been done that we are able to appreciate. Then above all, it's the advice to the UPND government, especially our Secretary General of the party, referring to the point that the Bishop's Council referred to as one of them was referred as Lucifer. It's more like someone is calling your parent to say he's a Satanist. then automatically the children will hate you. That issue won't end now. So the only way to end this matter, we are urging our Secretary General and also the party to apologize to the Bishop's Council, and also maybe to direct to Bishop Alik Banda. This matter will settle. There is no harm in humbling ourselves. Let's live in unity as a nation.
Thank you very much. Let's live in unity as a nation. That's according to Reverend MAA Zulu. And we can only wish that there will be dialogue, especially in the political circles. And also, based on the advice that was given by the Catholic bishops, it is a timely advice. I remember that the bishops just don't speak. When they speak, they mean it. And you do not have to take it for granted. Otherwise, you take it for granted at your own peril. But moving on, let's have a look at two other stories as we allow our guests to leave the state, where some members of the public have urged the citizens in the country to be cautious when purchasing meat products amid the outbreak of anthrax disease, and not only authorities to curb the spread of the disease. And the other stories where the government, through the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services, has called on the public to be alert on all forms of child abuse. Let's have a look at these two stories. We'll be back on the other side. Keep it on Camnet TV, not just another channel.
In November 2023, about 335 anthrax cases and 4 deaths were recorded countrywide, with Lusaka standing at 13 cases. Southern Province topped the list with 269 cases and 2 deaths, followed by Eastern Province with 30 cases and Western Province with 19 cases, among others. While citizens are still deciding whether to cut off meat on their menu or not, some Lusaka residents have called on citizens to safeguard their lives by doing the right things to keep the spread of the disease. The residents explain that the fight cannot only be left to authorities like local councils, but every citizen must play a part.
Institution yonse ba council ba ministry of health kuti tumenye nkondo ya matenda ya series ba council ekaswanga kwanisi koma ife bantu tonse titandizane na council ndio panemba tiza kwanisa kusiza matenda
kichakweba tifali bonze chira muntu abenga kuwa kuisopesha umwine fye mumutima ngamona tichintu chinati kwate ubwafya kwali wafika kweba tilinde waipika yapya imistumo tumatenda tulatusinapi so tumaleta problem takweba tolo wali ashana ngwaipika shana stumo tushishita.
Meanwhile, Mutendere Ward 34 Councillor Boniface Chibeka of Lusaka's Manali constituency says there is no seriousness from the city fathers, Lusaka City Council, in containing the further spread of the disease. Mr. Chibeka alleges that he has made several reports to the Lusaka City Council on unknown meat suppliers flooding Mutendere Market amidst reports of 6 cases of anthrax being recorded in the area.
That of anthrax cases, and it is suspected that it actually came from Mutendere Market. There are some marketeers in the evening at Mutendere Market who sell some meat stuff there for both for pork as well as beef, also the chickens from there. And I also reported to Lusaka Council through Public Health Department, but up to now Council has not moved in because those people, even today, even as of last evening, they are still selling that kind of meat.
Meanwhile, the Lusaka City Council says it is working around the clock to ensure the meat supplied to markets is inspected and certified for human consumption.
Currently dispatched public health officers and inspectors who are currently on the ground. We are targeting compounds and markets. That is on the part of public health officers, and on the part of inspectors we are targeting markets, butcheries, abattoirs, and some open markets. So with the compounds, we are sensitizing them, educating them about this particular disease, because we've noted with concern that some people are particularly not aware of what this particular disease is all about, how it comes about, how it is prevented. So we are concentrating on that area.
Anthrax is a bacterial disease of animals but can affect humans and has been a subject of concern in the context of biological struggle. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Many children and adolescents in Zambia face multiple vulnerabilities, including household poverty, exposure to violence, family separation, lack of education, malnutrition, HIV, early pregnancy, and child marriage, among others. These impact the development and growth of children and adolescents, reducing opportunities for them to thrive, to reach their full potential, and to contribute to the healthy and well-being of the country. Government, through the Minister of Community Development, has called on the members of the public to be alert to all forms of child abuse.
Call upon everybody seated here to be alert to both activities that endanger the future of our children and all those types of cares that look like they are cares but certainly not. For instance, somebody who gives money to a begging child on the street. That's not care. Be aware of all those queer happenings in the community and report them to the relevant authorities, or right there and then counter-react them.
Speaking during a collaborative workshop between the Coalition on Alternative Care for Children and the Parliamentary Caucus on Children, Mbabala Member of Parliament, who is also the chairperson of the Parliamentary Caucus, Joseph Musanje, disclosed that the caucus is working with a traditional leadership across the country to align customary to statutory law to sketch down all forms of child abuse in their chiefdoms.
We are working with the House of Chiefs to continue to sensitize them and ensure that customary law is aligned to the statutory law, because that is where the majority of the issues we face in our communities are in our villages. We need to build morally upright children. We need to build hard-working children in line with the motto of His Excellency, work, 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 and work. So we need to ensure that we are building children who are hard-working. We need to build children who are going to be productive citizens to the economy of the country, who are going to contribute to the economy of the country and the like. So that cultural change and shift which we want, the Zambia want to see, starts with these children.
Andy Techitechi, Member of Parliament, Tuambo Mutinta, proposed that the free education be made compulsory so that parents and guardians are compelled to take their children to school.
We should all come together again and make education not only free, but compulsory. I think that's something that we should all come together. Because there's no value of making education free when we still have parents that do not take their children to school. Up to now, even with free education, we still have children who are in the streets. So we need to reach a point where we become very clear on the punishment that should be meted to the parents who are not taking their children to school. At the moment, there's no punishment. Even if there's free education, even if you don't take your child to school, there's no punishment.
Children in Zambia continue to face abuse, neglect, and violence, according to Save the Children 2023 report. Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Well, there you have it. That is an interesting story there pertaining to children abuse issues, and also the story we played on anthrax. Remember that anthrax is still with us, and make sure that you observe all the recommended health guidelines to avoid you getting entangled into this deadly disease. It is affecting a lot of animals, and cattle has not been spared. We've seen the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock are making frantic efforts to ensure that they curb the spread of the disease, and we have also seen that local authorities across the country have intensified monitoring. And in that story, the Lusaka City Council was being challenged to make sure that it does more to make sure that it combats the scourge, because meat does find itself in Lusaka from all walks of from all corners of the district. Yeah, so you'd find that me I'm standing over that booth and eating michopo, supu ya mbuzi. So you reduce a bit. For now, let's get rid of anthrax. Miriam, I'm advising you take it as a timely warning with your your craving for meat. Make sure that you manage it very well. So
exactly, and just in addition to that story where we saw it is area member of parliament Twambo Mtita saying that education should compulsory, because in as much as education is free for everyone, some parents are still not taking their children to school. And this is something that we should seriously consider to do, that education becomes compulsory, so that we have a generation of young people who have interest in taking themselves in being educated. Because imagine if we have a cadre of a generation in future who do not value the importance of education, it becomes a problem again.
So I think we do have quite some sufficient laws to govern that, to say every children has a right to education, isn't it? But if let's say a parent decides not to take the child, what are some of the measures that we're taking? I think as we try to call for responsibility among parents, we have to start making those laws stiffer, where like he's saying, it is compulsory, and if you're not managing to take your child to school, we punish you. And it is the same. If you are going to be a parent who's going to marry off their child at a tender age, you should be punished, because you're not being responsible. Because these children we are talking about being referred to as junkies are coming from homes, Miriam. So it means that parents are not also doing their job to make sure that to regulate their children, to say, where are you coming from this night? Why are you injured? Whom were you fighting with? Our parents are not taking that responsibility.
And it's an offense. Child negligence is an offense, and people do not take this serious. Because we do not see people being reported as often as possible in the police. So this is something that we should get to ensure that we address as a nation, if we want to see a generation that be well informed. Governance issues later on in future.
You and I are privy to children who we met somewhere in Chawama who say, I don't want to go to school, I want to be picking bottles because I want money.
That's a notion that has been on the street.
But the child does not understand that that may be limited. How does he survive without a skill in the future?
Exactly.
So if these things need to be explained to them, to say, no, when we're taking you to school, we have a reason for that, and when people appreciate the reason why they are going to school, they take extra caution. Just like yourself, when you know that you have to go to school and take care of yourself to school, you know that you are paying yourself at the end of the day. You put more effort to make sure that you are not repeating a course so that you pay more money. So that's what that's a culture we need to make sure that we inculcate into, to say, you know what, this school provides value when you grow up. So if you want to be a productive citizen, a responsible citizen, it starts with education. Children must be explained. Children must appreciate this fact. If children are not able to appreciate that, then they think education is something they can do away with.
It's useless because the notion has been ungapanye drama or school. That is where the notion has been, and this is a very, very bad notion because because a lot of people won't value
even sportsmen, Miriam. Even we see our friends in Europe or Western countries, they marry sports with education. So you are a footballer, but you are learning, you understand? So, but sometimes way back in this country, we had the notion where when somebody thinks they have a talent to play football, they can abandon school and just concentrate on playing football. But no, our friends balance. You balance education and your talent. So now your education will complement your talent, because, for example, how are you going to be financially literate if you don't understand anything about business or anything about how to manage money? We have seen players who have become destitute after retiring from active football because they did not know how to manage their resources which they earned. So those things can be changed and avoided if someone is balancing education and their talent and everything. So that when they are able to make decisions, they make decisions that are sound. So you cannot be in a position to make a decision that is sound if you are unable to interpret what really is going around you. So you need to understand your environment very well. Say, okay, if I save this money, probably at the time I retire, I'll be able to sustain me if I invest in this business. But you won't have that idea. And you will blow your money, and the time you realize you'll be begging to then say, and
if you have a dream of one day becoming a president or minister, and you don't like education,
and you don't read, so you can be a footballer, but you have a dream of becoming a president. How do you balance that? Because the constitution will come and hunt you and say, no, you should have a grade 12 certificate.
Yes.
And if you want to also represent the country at a lower level, even as a councillor, you need that minimum. You understand? Because so really, we should be looking at these things in a diverse aspect. But we need to be going beyond to the talking and rhetoric. We need to be acting. So we hope those members of parliament will take practical interventions to make sure that they solidify these rights that safeguard the plight of children in the country.
Exactly. Anyway, this is the time where we need to excuse the screens of Camnet TV. I was your host, Miriam Kamba, as well as Michael Patrick Soko. For now, it's bye-bye and stay blessed.